On the forefront, I would like to welcome all our panelists and the audience here. The topic is not probably so new to us when we are talking about AI or AI. What I believe in as an educationist, AI has been the goal since ages in the education ecosystem. But probably now, since last few years, AI is also the buzzword. So we are here to just brainstorm that how AI is pitching against AI. I have tried my best to pick up few good very questions because we have the panelists of wide variety from the education ecosystem. We have the school principal, vice principal, admin principal, I would say this. Then we have the vice president from the university level, and we have the principal of ST College. So bringing that kind of a flavor so that we are able to gather the maximum information and awareness from each one of them. I've tried picking up few questions of different levels so that we don't go in for a common question for all three of them. Rather we get to know more at the school level, college level and university level. So to begin with, I guess I will start with ma'am. Ma'am, since I have been also into the schooling since a long time, and we believe in this that when the teachers are now going into the classes and running with the children and picking up the pace with the AI. And recently also I have been part of one of the webinar at the global level where I heard not only from India, from different country educators that they are also feeling insecure. How do you take that and how are you managing and trying to balance that kind of a pace from, let's talk about from the educator's perspective?
Thank you. If you look at AI and EI, like ma'am said, AI has been with us since times immemorial. There was always a connect between the teacher and the student which was non-negotiable. We called it respect, we called it care, we called it knowledge giving and whatever. AI is totally more knowledge driven. So yes, AI has answers, but only answers to the questions we ask. The problem that schools faced initially was that AI came from the students. Students probably picked up AI much before the teachers took it. So till now, our education system worked on a teacher giving to the student system. We planned, we built up curriculums, we trained our teachers and then we implemented that in the classroom. But here we came up with tools which teachers had no idea about. Students explored them much before teachers even heard about them. So AI just came in quietly but rapidly and unfiltered because we did not have any filters for them. When we teach children, we filter out a lot. Even YouTube has a filtered version for kids. But for AI, we have nothing that is filtered. Children get everything at the click. So the role of a teacher did for some time slip away. The teacher in that awe that, this all AI can do in a minute. And that anxiety that what am I going to do in the classroom? How am I going to manage things? When I give an assignment, all that we would tell the children was, I will not accept ChatGPT answers. Today, when we have empowered our teachers, when we have certainly tried to empower them, they have also learned AI tools. We are a little more comfortable than we were. We have started using AI in our own systems. Now AI is a tool for the teachers. And the teacher can say, okay, the knowledge part you can take from AI, but AI can answer a question, but AI cannot understand where the question is coming from. AI does not understand the child behind the question. That understanding of the child will only come from a teacher connect. That human connect is very important, and I think that is where schools are probably trying their level best to integrate AI but in a humane manner. AI with EI will only work. That's it.
And you, ma'am, very rightly said, because I believe that when you have said this, that we are giving the answer to AI. AI doesn't know who is answering it. And at some point, since I have been also into the digital pedagogy, where the data analytics are generated, at that point of time, AI is not knowing who has attempted it and how the data analytics have been driven. And at that point of time, the situation becomes at times overwhelming for the child. Interested to know that what are the industry partners explicitly asking for AI? Either it is skill graduation, emotionally intelligent leaders, or both, or in what proportion? Like these days, are they looking for more of the children and youth, those who are going into for AI, or those who are actually able to understand the situation emotionally also? What is the industry looking forward to?
Thank you, ma'am, for this question. First of all, AI is something, I'll just give you an example.
Yeah.
Yesterday, because I'm put in this session, I was thinking a 14-year-old could sit here and do a better job, because that's what the kids are using AI and they're taught. But anyway, I'm here now. So I put on genspark.ai and I said, who is Sunil Walia? So it took some time and it brought one website, the second, the third, the fourth, and I said, seems like a senior leader in the university. So now you can have the answer, but it needs to be fed.
Right.
So that's what our understanding, because it's still evolving. Like our society is anchored into values, the human society. We know where we are anchored. Similarly, AI needs to be anchored somewhere. So that is still evolving. But to answer your question, they are looking for, A is awareness. Very, very well. They should know, the students should know, are they aware of what is Gemini, what is Leonardo.ai, what are other AI bots and all that stuff. B is, are the students have that capacity and adaptability and that audacity and the confidence and intelligence coupled with wisdom to solve a problem. So at the end of the day, these technologies are born out of the need of the industry. They want to sustain and succeed and make profits. So that is what my answer would be. And remaining the EQ, that's what we are born with. So it has to be there, and AI is something which has to be adapted. And how well we are able to process it and make it as a case study or a use study or whatever, that's what it is, a skill. So that's what my answer is.
Right. Thank you, sir. I guess towards the end of the session, all of us are going to agree that it's not going to be AI versus AI. It is going to be that we have to strike a proper balance. Coming to you, sir, Ajay sir. With AI, are the students becoming more digitally connected but emotionally disconnected? What trends are you observing in your college campus these days?
Well, Chandigarh is one city where connect is very less. So those who are coming from the rural background or from traditional cities will all will agree. With this AI, certainly the problem is encouraging. No doubt students are well equipped with technology. They knew much more than us. Probably books are already gone. How they are learning from this AI, from the YouTube, from other sources, and within a short span of time they are learning. But the problem is there is no connect. They don't know how to work with the teams. They don't know how to be empathetic to other persons. They don't want to discuss with anyone. And that's led to some problems of the mental, psychological, depressive attitudes. They want to have instant solution to everything. But life is not so. You require to have a great amount of discussion, thinking, research, and then maybe you reach at some conclusion. But with the AI and everything, they are going towards the instant solutions, and soon they learn, probably this is not my cup of tea, I want to do something else. And these mental health issues are increasing day by day. I normally say that if you know how to express, certainly you are not depressed. But with this AI functions, they are not sharing with anybody. For any expression, they are going to AI, generating the text, generating the computation, writing the emails. And emotional quotient is declining. It may be look awkward. Common sense is most uncommon. And AI, though it should be inbuilt from generations, it is not so. Today generation is suffering that they are not sharing, they don't know how to communicate with each other, they don't want to share with their parents, they don't wish to share with the colleagues. This world of Insta has a number of problems, and that is some real challenge the youth is going through.
Yes, sir, I agree with you. And leaving with this thought here, I will come back to you with a follow-up of this as well. Over to you, ma'am. Really, the next question coming to my mind is that what are the early warning signs should educators watch for when AI-assisted learning begins to erode students' ability to navigate interpersonal conflicts or their frustration? So how are we handling, or how do you suggest that the children at the school level should be taken care of?
Yeah, so there are several red flags that we see every day, and not only as educators but even as parents. I see my daughter, she can spend hours and hours on the screen with somebody, but when it comes to coming and sitting with us and talking to us, in 2 minutes she gets bored. And it's not only with us, sometimes we've sort of tried to brush it under the carpet saying, teen problems. We also did not want to sit with our parents when we were teenagers. But I have noticed that the trend is not only with us, but even when, there is a room full of cousins, there is a room full of friends, but all of them are on their screens. They are more comfortable on the screen than with people. I think that's a big red flag. Even as an educator, when we do projects, so children are not team workers anymore. They get frustrated very soon. There is a problem, they want an instant answer. They don't grapple with the question. They don't even want to read the question. All that they want to do is feed the question to AI and get an instant answer. So that, trying to understand what the question is, trying to find a solution, trying to brainstorm with people around is something that is becoming a miss. So we can say that the generation is not patient, but I think they're learning from us only. A few days back, our class 1, we have something called the early learning series where we call parents, and children pick up a theme and they present something. So there was a theme of the International Family Day, which I think is just around the corner. So the children presented a Nukkad Natak where they presented something which was so heart-touching. They presented that, how was your childhood? How did you spend summer vacations? And today you are telling us to stay away from screens, but who's given us the screens?
Exactly.
Where are those books? Where are those dadas and nannis who actually sat with the children and read stories to them? Do we as parents spend time with them? Hardly. It is a matter of convenience. And today we blame them very soon. So these are little red flags, the lack of patience, the lack of working with people. So that whole idea of respecting somebody has gone away. They would like to shun away and move into their own shell. They want to speak for everything, but whatever their voice is lacks depth. It's a very shallow thing. Most of them have ChatGPT answers only, which they would like to raise and put up. But if you ask them another question, they are at a loss for words. So I think these are little red flags that we as educators need to really, and I believe out of all the 3 levels that you brought together, I think school has to play that role in a much stronger manner.
Right, ma'am.
Because
right.
it is here where we can actually shape them.
True.
I like to add,
Yes.
the parents, as you rightly said, that it's we.
Yeah,
putting
it's
the
a
practice.
society.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a society thing and an effort, because you have to set certain boundaries and converse with the kids off the screen. I want to share something. A couple of years back, I was working with some very big company, and they given a holiday of 10 days. And I went to my holiday, whatever my plan was, and I left my mobile at home deliberately, and they must be trying to reach out to me. They were trying and all that stuff. After 10, 12 days, I come back and I have so many calls and messages and emails. And they say, yeah, well, we tried to reach out to you. This event was to be done, blah, blah, blah. I said, what was the holiday for? In a nice way. You said it's a holiday. And then I was just 2 months into that organization. And then they said, well, that's fine, but the work's up. I said, what was the holiday for? You gave me a holiday. Why would I take the telephone and work for you? And then what happened, that was a sense and that thought, that little strength of mind I applied. I got so much respect for the next 3 years that every time there's a holiday coming, they will say, okay, so we'll say, abhi ye sare kaam kara. So, so it's all how you deal with it. You know, I agree with your question.
Right, sir, that's very correctly mentioned. Coming on to you, sir, like under your leadership, how do you intend to prepare students for careers where technical AI fluency and emotional intelligence will both be non-negotiable?
Well, when it's a question of AI or machine learning, it's a market which is deciding. Because there are demand of these courses. Last 2 years we introduced a number of courses of AI, and there are some BS in cyber security also, data analysis also, data, and there are a number of workshops with the industry like with the IB and other things. That is something which students are demanding, parents are demanding. But at the same time, because AI is one of the most important issue, though they may not be a part of SLBI, by using different clubs, different societies, community engagement programs, we are trying our best to ensure that students should learn teamwork, empathy, communication skills. Even the number of programs are specifically organized. They are voluntary and probably they are not something which are leading them to a good merit scores, but certainly they are learning the life skills. So we invite number of persons like Vivek is also here. He frequently come and discuss and deliberate on the issues. Workshops are conducted, one-to-one sessions are conducted. There are some career counseling cells also. But certainly what I feel, because we are in an affiliate system, students give importance to those things which are having some representation in their DMCs. So they may be more attracted towards the courses which talk about the AI or machine learning, or they can add something in their resume. But life is more than these resumes or these DMCs. The first interview I gave when I passed out, my first question was, why should I hire you? And my answer was that I am gold medalist in this course. And believe me, that gentleman asked me, gold medal मैंने चाटना है, and I was surprised to look at what he is saying. But today I could realize that my answer was wrong, because they were not looking towards a person having gold medal. They was looking towards something else. But probably that was my early stages, and I was unable to understand the meaning. But certainly life is more than that. Having the skills, having the emotional intelligence, having ability to work with a team and having a good communication skills are much more important than the technical skills. You know, you may be the best engineer in the world, but if you can't contribute to communication and team building, things are gone. So certainly we are encouraging the students, use the informal channels and learn these life skills, which are something which is going to help you more in life than the formal degrees.
Definitely, sir. This is how I guess our PM Modi ji and NAP and CBSE and other boards are focusing on life skills. This is very much required for our country youth. Yeah. So coming on to ma'am further question. In an era of AI, can generate content, solve problems and personalize learning. The pedagogies, they are doing everything these days. What professional development do teachers need to model to teach emotional intelligence to the students? And I just would like to add on here, recently I had been part of one of the conference, and I was also surprised to hear this from one of the foreign educator when she mentioned this, that the data analytics, how they impact the child, the parents for that matter, the working parents, well educated, aware parents, then also they are, how they are responding to those data analytics when AI is generating, and the teacher is feeling that I should be the go-to teacher. Why my child or why my student is going ahead with the pedagogy or getting the answers from the chat GPT, that same thing, the insecurity is coming. So how do we train our teachers or educators for the coming years? This is going to be a big question for all of us.
So, number one, I think all our teachers need to be on top of AI. We need to learn these tools. Like these days, we are at TPS, we are learning Canva AI.
Okay.
So you put in a document of your book, and you tell it how many lessons, what time period, what pedagogy you want, and it gives you a lesson plan in minutes. But what we have felt is that just learning these tools is not enough. That lesson plan needs to be altered, reflected upon, seen whether it delivers the outcomes I intend for my class. Each class is different. I don't know how many of us are teachers here, but though we teach the same content year after year, every year when we go to a classroom, it feels different.
Batch is different.
The questions are different, the answers are different, the activities, the response to activities is different. So that AI cannot help us with. That connect with the children will only be done by the teacher. And the teacher needs to practice reflection as a part. We are trying to teach our children to reflect. I believe if you look at the international curriculum, they have a lot of reflection. We are very low on that, except for diary journals. I don't think we've really reflected on things. But as teachers, if we start reflecting, so we plan, we deliver it, then we come back and reflect. And once we reflect, we then take action on it. So I think that empowerment, that connect, if I go as a teacher to a classroom, and if I'm able to build a connect with my children, 95% of my job is done. Subject, content is given in books, content is being delivered in YouTube channels by the video. They do not need you to give you, but what they need is to be able to connect with somebody whom they can feel that, okay, if I have a problem, I know I can go to him or her, and maybe that person may not be able to solve my problem, but will be able to guide me through this problem. That confidence, I think, is the only key to helping our children, come out as human beings. So knowledge today is available, but that emotional connect is something that we need to build our teachers on. And that will only come when they know the AI tools. So the awareness of the AI tools and to that understanding that these are just tools. They cannot do anything on their own. What we need to deliver will depend upon me. How I use the same tool to deliver my content to that class will still be in my control. So till I have control in my classroom, I don't think I have anything to worry. So I feel that empowerment needs to be built up.
True, ma'am, that one-to-one connect in the classroom of the teacher with the child has to be there.
I would like to add
Yeah,
on this
yes.
point on the training question.
Yeah,
here.
sure.
So agility is very important. Adaptability is, but agility is very important. You got to think through. Like Vivek must have thought 7-8 years before, this is how it should be, like this, and he's achieved it in a way. Agility is important. You got to understand that the team, let's say like at Chitkara is a great institution. This is my second innings with them. I worked with them from 15 to 22, and then now 24. I'm still on. I'll look forward to another good years. So there's a lot of freedom to decide, and you can take certain decisions for the betterment of the brand, because we are a brand with many sub-brands. You have to see that, okay, the law school is functioning well. Is there a good speaker coming to the law school? Is there architecture team doing very well? So we've got to see a lot of things. A year and a half back, we have a team of around 48, 50 people. I sent 3 photographers to an AI conference in Boston. When they returned, some of the directors in my team asked me, sir, we wanted to go, you send the photographers. I said, well, they do video edits, so they take 6 hours to edit a video. I want them to edit in an hour. So they would like to learn, so they would need get that skill hands-on. And secondly, when they come back, they'll talk, now it's your turn, we'll send you also. Eventually in a year, most of them have either gone or the experts have come to the university and we had our break time and we did our workshops on here. Each and every team member, including me, we know certain platforms in a common way. So now we are not novice to that, what is this AI buff? It's another add-on skill, it's a technology. But if you adapt it and you are agile, I think you train your people. In ma'am's case, it's the teachers with empathy.
Yes, empathy is
that's
non-negotiable.
So adaptability is the sense of today's time, and probably we all agree that change is constant. I guess my next question to you, I think you have answered it, but if you would like to add on, that do you think future employees will value empathy, adaptability and collaboration more than the routine technical knowledge that AI can automate?
Well, absolutely, they will admire agility. Somebody who is not just talking, is having a plan and a pathway and is a great executor. And then since I head the communications of the university, I believe, I think most of, the personalities there, they would agree, communication is the key, clarity, communication, upfront information, discipline, achieving things 2 minutes before what you planned and committed. Definitely they will value empathy. Empathy it's imbibed in us. You want an example, I can tell you a story, it's a quick one. So there was this, in our team, we lost one camera which was somewhere around 4 lakh rupees, and 2-3 days the director who was heading this photography department, he was quite nervous and I could see his body language, and I called him, I said, what's up, all good? He said, sir, the thing is, I've been trying to solve this problem, but we lost one camera. And it's a very costly camera now. If you say, sir, I will pay because I'm the head of this department. So I said, when was it lost? He said 3 days back. I said, don't worry about it, we'll sit down. So we went to a lounge and we had a coffee and we chatted, and he said, sir, I have these 2-3 chaps who I feel might have done it, and irrespective of their religion and all their stuff. We are a diverse university with different people working for us. And he said, okay, I have these 3 chaps, I feel must have done it. So then I called 2 other photographers one-to-one, we chatted, and finally we thought that, okay, we'll call all the 12 photographers who are also videographers, editors. So they all 12 came, and I said, guys, we've lost the camera is belonging to the university. And so now the only thing is, if somebody can give this information by tomorrow 4 p.m., we are good. Then we handle it very gracefully. But if somebody doesn't, then we all 13 of us bear the cost of that camera. Now, all of them, they went out of the meeting, and with due respect, and after an hour, one chap calls me and he says, sir, I've been trying to reach out to you, and I know where the camera is, one of the student or one of the intern or whatever, he's pointing it out. And I said, okay, don't worry, just come and meet me. But before you come meet me, tell me, do you have the camera or not? So he said, sir, I'll come and tell you. So anyway, he met me and we met so we have a different style of working. I said, we'll meet at Blue Tokai. And so we had a coffee, and he comes and says, sir, aap kisi ko batana, mujhe pata hai, I've got influence and blah, 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 and the camera is somewhere here. I said, okay, you have 2 hours. If you say it's nearby, you get the camera to my office. So I thought, pehle camera to mangwao. They got the camera, and I was very happy. Chalo, the camera is back in. We would have been honest to the owners, things would have nothing wrong, but we want to fix it, the issue. So what happened? Now the camera is with us, and I tell the chap, did you do it? He said, yes, I did it. I said, okay, you are on a watch probation for 6 months. If you don't perform, you have to go, blah, blah. That was individual with him, totally. And I said, nobody would know. And by 6 p.m. I called the director, I said, we got the camera. He said, where did you find it? I said, there it is. And I dropped a message in the group. I said, guys, the thing is that it was quite a hassle, but we could fetch the camera from a classroom where a photographer got so tired working late night and he forgot the camera. But we got the camera and nobody till date knows who got it, who did it, who whatever. So that empathy is required. We learn through our journeys from our past 20 years of work. We all learn.
Yeah, so this
that's
is
where your empathy thing
Yeah.
comes in.
Yeah.
this is an emotional connect.
Yeah.
So
He hugged the team and he said, okay, I don't want to leave.
Yeah, right. That was an interesting anecdote. Thank you for sharing with us. Coming to you, sir. Probably, I guess Nikita is already giving us a signal. I'll take up the last question. Should emotional intelligence become as important as academic performance and technical proficiency, like for example, including the research-based programs where children are doing it in the college? So, how does the college, at college level, as the principal or as a part of the management, how do you think that emotional intelligence should be given the weightage?
Well, no doubt emotional intelligence has an equal weightage like your technical competencies, your social togetherness or your academic performances. The tragedy of system is that we are trying to standardize the entire education system. There was some discussion or reference about the NEET also. You are depending too much of some knowledge or some other abilities and you are forgetting the basic traits or life skills. When you are having some boards like the CBSE or you are having some NT or so, you will be testing your grasping power or you will be testing how you are in a position to solve the simple problem or equations. But how to solve your life problems, how to work your team, how you can have the empathy for others, that is something lost. And certainly in the name of standardization, we have lost the things, so we need to do that. But probably once you try to include in your evaluation criteria, you get a blame as an administrator that you are biased towards a particular person because you may be liking that he is having a better communication with you, he is part of your team or he's so. So we also start avoiding it. But certainly when as a recruiter you are hiring, you are looking towards a person who is in a position to fit into the situation, a person who is a solver, a person who can work in a team, a person who is having empathy, and you consider more than its technical engineering qualifications or his ability to argue. So there is something to be included, but yeah, presently we are not having such system where you can make it a part of his credentials.
I want to add something here. So we all are debating upon AI versus EI, mostly knowledge versus emotions. But how many of us celebrate emotional
That's what
intelligence? Look at the newspapers these days. Full paper ads of schools celebrating academic achievement. All that we celebrate is 500 out of 500, 499 out of 500. As schools, the day we start celebrating emotional intelligence, the day we start portraying it, the way as our society starts celebrating emotional quotient, I think that is the day we will be actually successful.
Just a second more. Supreme Court has created a committee to look towards the mental health issues. And we are having regular meetings with the very senior officials. And most of these suicides are happening in top medical colleges, top engineering colleges. And what ma'am is saying is certainly a thing. You may be the best in terms of score of the academic achievement, but once question comes that you are alone, you are depressed, there is a pressure, and quota is live example which we all of this. Thank you.
Look at all the data. All our toppers are not always successful in life. So somewhere we need to reflect upon it.
Definitely, ma'am, and I conclude this by saying this, that we have a long way to go. We need to make a roadmap, and I personally believe that it has to start from our own self, from our own home, from our own children. if we are giving them those kind of benchmarks to get 5 out of 5, 500 out of 500 in the CBSE, we parents are at fault. So definitely, but I also positively believe in that every drop makes the ocean, and such kind of conversations at this stage will really bring those kind of changes. This is what it is all about. Thank you so much for sharing all your views, and thank you audience.